Hi all, so this is a quick little presentation to give you an introduction into our Leaving Cert subject, chemistry, one of the four science subjects on offer here in Bridge. I'm Mr. Glynn, and just a quick little introduction. It'll go through what's studied in the subject, why one would actually consider chemistry, and a general introduction to the subject. One of the most important places to start with any of your subjects is in the question on the left. Is the subject right for you? Pick your own subjects. So is chemistry the right subject for you? Did you like junior cycle science? It's not that you had to do extremely well in it, but you would want to enjoy it because it is a follow-on from the chemistry branch of junior cycle science. There is some maths involved in chemistry, and you don't have to have done higher level or aim to do higher level for your Leaving Cert, but just acknowledge the fact that there is maths involved in our subject. Do you enjoy understanding things, questioning things, want to find out about things around us? So they're type of questions that are always undertaken in chemistry, trying to figure out those type of things. And do you enjoy being accurate, precise with information, precise with carrying out an experiment? So chemistry is one of the most important subjects, not from a Leaving Cert point of view, but in terms of the way we look at the way the world works around us. There's a huge amount of information, a huge amount of things come from the study of chemistry. So it's not just some things that happen in our lab, like ourselves, or the makeup of food, plastics. There's a huge amount of examples of everyday things that are directly influenced by chemistry. It is known as the central science. Now, what does that mean? That it branches into, there's parts of chemistry and biology, in physics, in home ec, in ag science. So it is a really good joiner up of all of the different sciences. What things are made of, different laws that you can see there in front of us, and loads of everyday examples are influenced by chemistry. So for an outline of what is involved in the Leaving Cert course, it's basically broken down into different sections, but in terms of general breakdown, you have theory, you have calculations, and then you have experimentation. There's 28 mandatory experiments. They are of huge importance. You must complete them all. You must know theory about them, chemicals, symbols, calculations, understanding. So that's all involved in the experimental, the practical side of our subject. It is examined on its own in the actual Leaving Cert. So it has its own section on the Leaving Cert paper. Then you have the rest of it, your theory. You have different applications, different topics inside chemistry. I'll look at that in a second. And there are a large number of calculations. And I have that breakdown in the overview of the actual exam. It is a follow-on from junior cycle science, the chemistry branch on junior cycle science. A lot of the key concepts are brought forward. Your periodic table, your elements, your different states of matter, bonding, those type of things, but it is in a lot more detail required. The main topics that make up the Leaving Cert course are atomic structure, that takes in the periodic table, how we know so much about it is, bonding between different elements, what makes up an element, all of those different type of things. Volumetric analysis has got to do with volumes, so it's got to do with being precise. There's calculations involved, there's laboratory work involved. Organic chemistry is actually the study of hydrocarbons. So a lot of that will be in relation to crude oil, to plastic consumption, fuel production for diesel, petrol, those type of things. Which is better? How can we improve them? There's calculations, there's theory, there's linked to everyday life, and there's understanding, all mangled in there together. Water chemistry, quite enjoyable, really applicable to everyday life. Sewage treatment, how do we get drinking water, collection of rainwater, so like that, connected to everyday life, and once again, mixtures of theory, understanding, and calculations. And then reaction mechanisms. That's how different elements interact with each other. We study their actual reactions on a molecular level. So there's a little bit of detail there, and that's just a little overview of the topics that are studied. So the exam at Leaving Cert level is 100% exam. There's no project. It's a full exam. It's a 3-hour exam. It's broken into 2 sections, as I mentioned previously. One section is just based on the experiments, and the other is on the rest of the course. There's different questions in it, not going into that type of detail. Experiment versus the rest. In the rest, then you have your theory, you have your understanding, you have definitions, and you have calculations. At the bottom, you can see that just for definitions alone, there's about 100, 110 definitions. They make up about 15 to 18% of your higher level exam paper. And they're small one sentences, very specific, very precise. Learn them off, write them down. Calculations can make up an average 30 to 45, 50% of a paper. It doesn't usually go over to 50. And well, like I said at the start, there's a full section on the experiments. They're mandatory. You know what they are. You know the type of information they're going to look for. They repeat themselves. There's only so much they can ask about the experiments. So it's always a great part of the paper. This part often surprises people with the amount of careers. Now, we're not even talking about college courses, we'll get to that next, but just careers that involve chemistry. There's a huge list there, both sides of the page. You can see that they're broad topics and there's a lot of careers within each of those careers. So chemistry really does open a lot of doors. It opens a lot of doors to have it for studying in college, for going on to further education, for going into different careers. You can see it there, the list yourself. It's broad. There's a lot to it. The next little topic here is really important, and it's actually the reason I done Leaving Cert Chemistry. When I was in TUI, I had an idea, I had an interest in veterinary science, animals, farming. I said I might want to do it. No idea when I was in TUI. Not expecting you to know what you want to do, but don't close doors. That's why I done chemistry. It left that door open that if I did want to do veterinary medicine, I had chemistry done. It's a requirement in a lot of courses. Okay, so that is one of the key things about picking chemistry. It opens a lot of doors. Without it, you can be restricted. And if you do that, make that decision now, you might regret it. So that there's research involved. I've done a little for you, but you need to actually research yourself. There's some courses that it is an absolute necessity for. You will not get in without it. But then there's other courses where you literally study it. Okay, and that always happens. You'll end up, if you go to college, you might end up living with random people, and that happened to me. And there was random courses, and they had chemistry, engineering for one example. There's chemistry in so many different course requirements. And chemistry is a really good one to have because it helps you have a really good foundation of this topic going into it. That little bit more difficult to pick up at 3rd level in comparison to the Leaving Cert. I did a quick little research on the website Qualifax. I know you use Careers Portal as well, and there are 7 courses that you definitely will not get into if you do not have chemistry. Okay, I have a list of them on the next page. There is 195, you can see that there, that you may require chemistry. Okay, and then there's a huge more that you actually study chemistry in. So like I was saying, do a little bit of research. Chemistry will pop up in so many different areas, like I've mentioned there already, so just do your own bit of research. On this slide, we have the list of the courses you will not get into if you do not have Leaving Cert Chemistry. It's a necessity. If you think you have an interest in the courses like that, make sure you do chemistry. Otherwise, you are cutting out so many options for yourself. That is a list that you will not get into without chemistry. Do that research yourself, have a look at it, but there is a huge amount of courses where chemistry is recommended, where you will study chemistry. So also have a look at that. I wouldn't overly focus on these two graphs I have here. They're just national averages, and the only reason I have them in there is because of the point I have in the top right. Our school does quite well every year in the chemistry exam. We have a above average, way above average number of students taking higher level, and our levels of people who get H1s and H2 is way above the national average. And you can see it there, it is quite high, 17 and 13. That's huge amount of students who take higher level chemistry get H1s and H2, and I'm telling you that our school is above that. They're very good percentages. I've mentioned it a few times throughout. Do your research. I have a link there in that. It's from Careers Portal, and there's a 10-minute video, and it actually goes into detail on what you study in Leaving Cert Chemistry. Yes, it does touch on why you should study it, the type of a student it is good for, the necessity of it for the courses, but it actually goes into a little bit of detail on what you actually study. That's a nice little insight into the subject as well. So I would really recommend that video. It's on Careers Portal. It's for people like you. It's for people who are making this decision on your Leaving Cert subjects, and it is informative on the Leaving Cert subject of chemistry. Just to finish up, talk to people. Talk to students who have done chemistry. Talk to people who are in college or who are using chemistry. There's 3 science teachers who teach chemistry in our school. Talk to us. All is free. If you want to drop me a message, you'll find me in Teams, D Glynn. If I'm talking to TYs, you see me every day. If I'm talking to third years, drop me a message. Ask me any questions you'd like to about chemistry, Mr. Kelly or Mr. Carey. We're here to help. Do your research. It is a great subject to open doors. If you like understanding things, if you can learn things off by heart, but you can do a little bit of maths as well, it is a great subject. And like I said, we've a really good record in our school.